While a majority of YouTube channels bank on the charisma of the on-screen presence of the channel owner, faceless channels obviously break the mold by thriving without revealing the identity or the face of the creator. Now, this is quite advantageous for individuals that want to focus on the content rather than the personal branding. But we've all heard the generic normal niches for faceless YouTube channels. They can often get saturated, they can get overrun with competition, and it can be quite tough to grow within them. So in this video, I want to cover some unconventional niches and unconventional video formats that you might want to consider, where you can pick one of these, or you don't have to, right? But hopefully it'll at least get you thinking outside the box a bit. So first and foremost are deep dives and case studies. Now, these are thoroughly researched videos that dive deep into a specific topic. They could be about how interesting something is, or a case study on a particular product or service or company that was a success or a failure and why. They could be about an investigative piece of journalism, right? Or reporting the news. They could be about literally anything as long as you're kind of thinking outside the box. Now, with the help of a good script, a good voiceover, and perhaps some illustrated visuals, you can produce a compelling piece of content very easily. The second is going to be workshops like tutorials. People are always looking for something new, and a Faceless channel can very effectively host these virtual workshops or these virtual tutorials, and you don't need to see somebody's face to actually watch the screen in action. Now, whether it's a cooking recipe, a programming tutorial, a language lesson, doesn't matter. There's endless opportunities here. And you can offer a series of these workshops to help keep your audience engaged over a period of time and turn it into a playlist that people continue to binge watch again over time. Third is search-based tutorial channels. So all these are not within the same niche. A few of the ones that I've been looking at recently to kind of emulate, like when I'm always doing research for faceless channels that are succeeding and why that aren't super competitive, tend to have a lot of these search-based tutorial channels that get a lot of search traffic and are, problems that people have widespread across the board, but they might not always be paired up. So for example, if I was going to create a channel like this, maybe I create a tutorial on how to get your Facebook account back after a suspension. Then maybe I create a tutorial on how to get your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And then I create a tutorial on how to use the editor within TikTok, right? See how none of those are actually simultaneously related, but what they are is they're topics that get a lot of search traffic. And so you're not necessarily trying to build an audience here. You're just trying to get views because you know people are going to be searching for these videos a lot. It's a different approach, but it can be effective. I've seen countless channels do it recently. The next one that's super effective and proven, but people have gotten away from a lot recently, is storytelling, okay? So channels that focus on storytelling through animation or B-roll are often a massive hit if the stories are sold right. Now, there's also a lot of travel channels on top of that, right? But instead of doing that like normal, why not do it like virtual travel or digital exploration in kind of like a theory, right? So for example, you could compile Creative Commons footage or even use like video game graphics and create a virtual travel experience. For example, imagine touring an ancient European city or touring Rome when it was like at the height and the pinnacle of Rome, touring the Colosseum during a fight, or a tour of Mars or Venus or another planet. Now, you might be thinking like, how am I going to create that, right? But there's programs out there, especially now with AI, that can create these simulation videos on the computer a lot faster than you think and a lot easier than you think. You would just then need a good voiceover. Another niche that I've seen a lot of other creators succeed in, but isn't super saturated yet, is retelling and recapping funny Reddit forums. Now, it doesn't have to be funny Reddit forums. It can be forums in any capacity, right? So another good example as like a spin-off that just popped into my mind would be like recapping funny Amazon seller posts on the Amazon seller forum, which would be a little bit more niche, but it would be easier to build an audience initially because once YouTube figured out what you were doing, they'd figure out who to suggest your content to that would like that better, right? You just might have a little bit of a more cap to grow because it's a little bit less specific. Not only do these videos get a lot of interest within the right topics, of course, but you already have a lot of the content ready-made for you on the forums that you can then just recap. Now, you do need to put a good edit together, obviously, and you do need to put a good voiceover explaining it, but it's an easy place to get started, and a place that you can build up initial audience very quickly. The next one would be trend analysis. Now, this could be super specific. It doesn't matter what field you pick. So a good example of this would be like stock analysis. Do not do that. That's oversaturated. But this could be fashion trends, technology, or internet culture. It really doesn't matter as long as you're picking a specific niche. Now, breaking down what makes something a trend can provide valuable insights to your audience. Last but not least, never underestimate the power of a good compilation. So it could be like epic moments in sports history, the best memes of the year, or even the most aesthetic coffee making processes. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's curated well, a compilation video can rack up a significant amount of views. Some other ones that pop into mind are product reviews, software reviews, or even other YouTube channel reviews. Now, the benefit of these are, again, you don't need to come up with content ideas, and you can really monetize them very easily with affiliate marketing, especially if it's a specific product or a specific software that pays a good commission. So to sum it up, a faceless channel has a lot more scope for creativity than you might initially think. Moving beyond the conventional formats can not only add unique flavor to the channel, but it can also attract a wider audience and, most importantly, have you competing in a niche all on your own without any other competition.